Hey guys, thank you so much for floating on over here to the Awesome Padron show. We just saw the 29th movie, and I'm quoting that from Zach.
The 29th movie of all time.
Yeah, all time. Yeah, this is the 29th movie ever made. Yeah.
Stupid.
We saw the 29th movie in the MCU. I am quoting Zach on that. So
yeah, I'm quoting IMDb. So.
Yeah,
we neither of us are at fault if we're wrong.
Especially me. So just so we're clear. Anyway, so we saw that in the movie. It's Thor.
Yeah.
Thor, Love and Thunder. So I just want to start this off by quickly giving a little bit talk about Thor Ragnarok, because it kind of just leads into my feelings on this one. Also, just a warning here. One of our biggest criticisms in general over the entire MCU, and honestly, this might kind of give away just like how we feel about this movie right off the bat. One of our biggest criticisms in regards to the MCU as a whole is their comedy and how much a lot of times their comedy is out of place. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where it does work, like in Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. That works really well. Ant-Man, the movies aren't that great, but I feel like the comedy is fine for those movies.
Right, yeah. Like you said, it's just fine. It's not like great or anything, but it works for what they are. Yeah, and I mean, the movies could be written better, but I don't mind the comedy being in those movies. Mm-hmm. Those are fine. Other than like Michael Pena's character. I'm not a huge fan of his character. But unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
We don't like his character.
And so when it came to movies like Thor Ragnarok, because we watched that when it came out, you can go back to our reviews. We did not like that movie. And I'll say this, I love the story of it. I'll admit that I do think it's funny. I do think the jokes are funny. I just don't like that there were that many jokes in it.
Yeah, especially for what the movie was. Like the story that it was the destruction of Asgard, the end of Asgard. It should have had a lot more weight to it, but it was just so, like, they used comedy to deflect the emotional weight of the whole scope of that movie.
But I love the story of that movie. Mm-hmm. That being said, I do think now that movie does at the very least have focus. And it's focus, and it's contained.
Right.
You know, the jokes were there, but they never really sidetracked from the story. They were just kind of distracting.
Yeah. They're distracting from like the emotion of the movie, but it never, like you said, never distracted from the actual plot.
Yeah.
It never like stopped the plot from like moving forward because they wanted to tell a joke.
Exactly.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. And so that movie was really well received. People loved it. So I guess they're like, well, people love that, so let's just like double down. Let's just go all the way with that, you know? And then we get Thor Love and Thunder.
Right.
Which, if you can tell by the way I've said all these words so far,
the way the words were arranged,
you might be able to come to the conclusion that we did not like Thor: Love and Thunder. Mm-hmm. So I do want to quickly just go over what I did like about this movie, because what I did like about this movie is very easy to talk about because I actually love this, and that is Christian Bale as Gore, the God Butcher. Mm. I think he did fantastic. And honestly, I was kind of already expecting him to be my favorite part of the movie.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like from the trailers and everything, he just looked really cool. Like he looked like creepy.
Yeah.
And he really portrayed the character and played that creepiness off really well.
Yeah, honestly, when he was cast, I kind of figured that he's going to be my favorite part of the movie. Like I was telling you about this, like it almost feels like they only gave Christian Bale his lines in the script, his part of the script, and didn't show him the rest of the movie, because like his scenes were good, but then the rest of the movie just was crap. Well, not all of it, but the vast majority of everything else was crap.
Yeah, because I like loved every scene of his in this movie.
Right, yeah,
all of it. But I will say, in regards to that, even though I love that everything that he was in, it does kind of bring me to one of my first negatives, which is I think this movie needed like 30 extra minutes. Mm-hmm. Maybe not all dedicated to the gore, other things too, but I think he needed at least like 5 or 10 more minutes added on to his origin.
Exactly, because like I really loved his first scene, like the opening scene of the movie. his origin story.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have not only extended that a little bit, but also like after that, it's almost like they cut out a section of his story.
Yeah.
Because it picked up with him, and it just felt like there's like parts missing to his story when they picked back up with him.
Yeah.
I really would have loved to see his descent more with the sword. I forgot what it's called, the necro something. That sword corrupting him. I wish we would have seen his descent more.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah, exactly. And so like because of that, a lot of because of him not getting enough of his origin story and not getting enough time with him before everything, there's a lot of stuff at the end that hits you, and it hits you emotionally in a certain way, but not nearly as much as it should.
Yeah.
You know? And I know it would have hit really well if they did that, because what it gave me, it hit.
Yeah.
Just not nearly as much as I felt like it should have.
Exactly. Because, like, honestly, like, and this hasn't really happened much to me, especially, like, in the MCU movies, but, like, honestly, my brain kind of checked out of this movie, like, towards the middle of it, and it'd be, like, at the beginning of the third act, because, like, there's so much comedy in it, and there's so much, like, non-focus in the storytelling that, like, I just, like, didn't care about anything that was happening.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Even though Gore's story, his origin, was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, I kind of didn't really care for it. And then, like you said, the ending scene with him, his last scene, was emotional, but, like, everything leading up to it, like, it didn't feel like it was, like, paid off well, because I didn't really care about it leading up to it.
I also want to add on that another positive of mine, which this does lead into kind of the same negative. I do like, this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the trailers.
Yeah.
But if you haven't watched the trailers and you just like completely didn't watch them, really, just skip this. But like Natalie Portman is back as Jane. She gets Thor's powers. And so I liked the route they took in order to get there.
Yeah.
I just felt like that route also should have been longer.
Yeah, exactly. Because like it felt really rushed. It felt like, oh, that's a thing that happened in this movie now.
Yeah.
That's a thing that's going on in this movie now. When she gets the powers of Thor, Mjolnir, it just happens like all of a sudden. It's like there's no build up to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's like a thing of her just being worthy. It's not really necessarily anything that she has to work towards.
Yeah.
But like it just felt like it just like happened.
Yeah.
Just to happen.
Yeah. And then her also, they skip a huge chunk of after that.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden she's just there and she has Thor's powers.
Right.
And
she's kind of known like New Asgard, and it's like
okay,
we didn't
she's like no, she's known, and so like that's another issue I have, which again brings up the point of there's things that happen with her character that I feel like would hit a lot more if there was more time added to her story.
Because I really do like the reason they gave Jane Foster, the reason why she wants to see if she can wield Mjolnir. I like all that. But it just felt like it just happened all of a sudden, like just really rushed.
A big problem that all of this adds up to is it feels like a lot of this movie just wanted to give you the gist of everything. Yeah, that starts the movie off. Like it didn't really want to give you much more than here's this happened. Let's get on with the jokes, you know? And that's a really big issue I did have with it. It just never felt like it cared at all to take time with these characters that we really needed to take time with. Our main issue with this was just how comedic it is. And honestly, like I said, like Thor Ragnarok, I didn't love, but I love the story. And even though there was a lot of comedy, I did find it funny. And it never sidetracked from the story. It never jumped over to the side to make sure to tell us a joke. It was all implemented well for what it was. I just didn't like I just didn't love what it was. Right. And it was funny, but this movie, honestly, it surpasses comedy and goes into stupidity.
Yeah, like I've seen some people like compare it to like a lot of it felt like SNL skits of like Marvel movies. And like a parody, and it really did feel like that at times.
Yeah,
which I will say, there's there's quite a few scenes in the MCU that do feel kind of like parody. Yeah, but like there's quite a bit of scenes like that in this movie.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: I don't think this is a spoiler, but like I get I don't think this is a spoiler at all. You know, because and I don't know why it would be, but I'll just say this: there's a part whenever they are meeting a lot of gods.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not meeting, but they're talking about a lot of gods. They're passing about a whole bunch of gods.
Yeah.
And this movie decided that it had been a fantastic idea to add the god of dumplings.
Yeah.
And it was like a dumpling cartoon with a face
right
that talked. Well, I didn't make
it made noises.
It made noises.
Mm.
That's what this movie dipped down to. That's how low this movie got.
That's what this movie canonized.
Yeah. So now, whenever you're watching Daredevil on Netflix, or you're watching Civil War, Infinity War, just know that canonically there is a god of dumplings that looks like a dumpling.
Yep.
Just
there you
know
go.
that, yeah.
You got that now.
Yeah, just know that in somewhere in the universe there's a god of dumplings, and so what really frustrates me about this movie is it just feels like it prioritized jokes. Like its main goal was to make jokes and only tell like compelling storytelling like when it absolutely needed to.
Yeah, with the gore.
Yeah, like it only told compelling story. It only had compelling storytelling within scenes as opposed to the movie.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it was just prioritized jokes over everything. It was almost like in the writing room, people were just kind of like laying back. You know, someone was like, "Hey, why don't you make a god of dumplings?" Whatever, you know? And they used it.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, man, I was just kidding about that." You have to put that in the actual movie.
I can imagine that someone was like watching that movie like, "Wait, did they use that idea?"
Yeah, because like going into this movie, like we've said, we didn't really like Thor Ragnarok and the comedy that it had in it, and like Jeremy Johns and Sean Chandler both said that this movie doubled down with the comedy.
Yeah.
So I went into like just prepared, and like I was like, okay, I know there's gonna be a lot of comedy in this.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to expect that and just see if I can still like it regardless.
Yeah, or at the very least, enjoy it while I'm watching it and then understand how stupid it was later.
Exactly, yeah. I like the first like quarter of the movie. The first like quarter of the movie, I was like, okay, there's some dumb stuff happening here, but I think I can still like it a little bit. There's like, especially like the opening scene with gore.
Yeah.
That was like surprisingly heartfelt.
Yeah.
And like serious.
Yeah.
And just so y'all know, we're gonna go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the movie, I know this is kind of a late review. Just a few days late, but just if you haven't seen it, just go to this timestamp to see our grades and the conclusion. But there's a fight scene in New Asgard whenever Gore attacks New Asgard in the first like quarter of the movie, and that scene already felt off for me because the first scene that Jane Foster showed up with Thor's powers, and it just felt rushed. Her just being Thor, having Thor's powers. But then afterwards, all of the kids in New Asgard are kidnapped by Gore.
Yeah.
And then they're searching for them all night.
Yeah.
And they can't find them. And Jane and Thor immediately start telling jokes to each other.
And like, they don't know what's happening to these
exactly.
kids.
They're like, oh, we can't find them. Okay, let's start making jokes.
Yeah, yeah. For all they know, Gore could have just taken him and killed him. You know, like maybe most likely not, but like he could have just taken him and killed. He could have done anything. Who knows if we're ever see them again?
Yeah, or they might have gotten hurt.
Yeah, and then like the next morning, Jane and Thor are just talking, and they're just like, they're almost acting like nothing happened.
Exactly.
And they're just telling jokes. You know, like they're just throwing in jokes, these cheap jokes, and that really frustrated me. Another joke that I felt like I didn't love, but like it'd been like okay if they did it like once or twice, was they made like a weird like love thing between Thor and Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, to where Jane had Mjolnir. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Jane had Mjolnir because she was able to pick it up. She was found worthy.
Yeah, which it kind of undoes the now that I kind of thought about it earlier, but it kind of undoes the Hela shattering it because like if she could just put it back together.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But the whole reason of like forming Stormbreaker and all that. But you can keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, but so there's like a weird love thing where Thor is like he misses like Mjolnir, and then every time he like looks at it, Stormbreaker comes into frame, like almost like, oh, you looking at her, you know, like jealous.
Yeah.
Like Stormbreaker's jealous
Right.
of Thor looking at Mjolnir. And they did it so many times.
Yeah, I know. Like, honestly, like, the first time they did it, whenever they're in New Asgard and Thor is trying to like call Stormbreaker, try and call Mjolnir, and then Stormbreaker shows up and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
All that was kind of funny,
Yeah.
but like then they kept doing it over and over again. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't have to do this many times. It's funny the first time.
Yeah, in which I love Taika Waititi. I think he's a really good director.
Yeah.
There's just certain worlds you can't that don't. It feels weird because I love like Jojo Rabbit, and some people have like these criticisms against a comedy being set. In
the reason why I don't mind it in that movie is just because it was a pretty much straight up comedy or a parody.
Yeah.
Like straight up comedy.
Yeah, and it was pretty much a movie making fun of that,
exactly,
of like Nazis and the racism. That
so it was like a parody of that time period.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
It fit.
Yeah, and also it was a movie from the mind of a child who idolized Hitler and Nazis, you know, and so it worked with that movie really well. These movies, it just don't, for a lot of reasons. But like the fact is that you're in a universe, and Thor, the last two Thors were just wildly funny.
Right.
Well, like the third one, and then this one just became like just totally stupid.
I just wish they would start to realize that like there's ways to do comedy in movies that's natural.
Yeah, and
like Daredevil. Like there's like if you watch Daredevil, there's quite a bit of comedy in Daredevil.
Yeah,
it just feels natural, so you don't notice it.
Yeah, and as much as I love Daredevil and like stuff like this, I'm not necessarily completely expecting the tone of like something like Dark Knight or even the Daredevil series. Yeah, I'm not expecting
for sure.
that.
Yeah, I'm just saying even a show that is dark like that still has quite a bit of comedy.
Yeah, exactly. But like at the very least, whenever you get like Russo brothers, when it comes to like Winter Soldier, Civil War, and like Infinity War, like the Russo brothers, they brought a perfect balance of comedy,
right?
Because it wasn't insanely serious. Yeah, you know, it was just serious when it needed to be, and they had like the comedic relief. They had the comedy in there. And so those are like perfect. It was a perfect balance on those. This one, like I keep on saying, it just felt like they prioritized jokes over everything.
And just another side note, it's not really a knock on this movie, because I do know that whenever Jane Foster gets Thor's powers in the comics, she calls herself the Mighty Thor, and that's what she calls herself in this movie too. But for me, it doesn't really make any sense because like Thor is his name. Yeah. It's not like a mantle. Yeah. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, like unless I don't know Norse mythology enough. Yeah. Like Thor Odin's son is his name. Yeah. It's not like Black Panther or Captain America. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of weird that she called herself the Mighty Thor. Yeah. I feel like they could have given her like an actual name. And it is really cool that the Family Opera got a little bit of recognition in this movie. Like Valkyrie was wearing a shirt that had it was a pretty long scene too. Like it showed her a lot in the Family Opera shirt. I just wish it was in a better MCU movie than this. Yeah. Which we actually have a playbill of the Family Opera up there. Yeah.
Another issue I have with this, and this is honestly just like, I guess it's a personal thing. All of this is personal. This is all opinions. But
it's not personal. It's business.
Everything we've said in there is a fact until just now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No opinions in this review.
But another thing that I had a problem with, but what I'm saying is like this problem that I have is probably not a problem that most people have. And that is, I've never been a massive fan of narration. There's times where it works. I think that most of the time it doesn't. Mm-hmm. I think because there's two whole scenes where Korg narrates. And the first narration of the movie with Korg, I think, is the one that works the least because they're kind of just telling us stuff that we've already known. But I guess they're trying to put it in perspective, like we're all idiots, right? You know, and like they kind of just go over, even though Thor already put it in perspective for us in Infinity War. Yeah, you know, whenever he's talking to Rocket, right? But I guess they're like, well, let's just do this because our audience isn't very smart, so we'll put it on its perspective or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and especially because like they could have just had like a little bit of dialogue in the movie, just like natural dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and just had like emotion in that scene.
And so they do that. They try to make sure that you understand why Thor isn't too happy, because of all this stuff. And then it goes over things that we don't know about. But I also feel like, some of those things that we don't know about, they have conversations about in the movie.
Yeah.
And the things that they don't have conversations about in the movie, they could have had conversations about in the movie, or had some kind of verbal, some kind of visual storytelling to play that off. Mm-hmm. So I don't, like I said, I don't like narration. Sometimes it works.
Right.
Sometimes it does. I don't really know if it's usually necessary, but there are times where it kind of works, and I'm fine with that. This movie, I just don't think it was necessary, and I don't think it worked.
Yeah, it's funny that two of our least favorite MCU characters, Korg and Michael Pena's character in the anime movies, are the two they decided to have narration.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I mean, Michael Pena's characters doesn't necessarily have narrations, but they have those monologues that he has. And...
I don't think Korg would actually make me that angry if the whole movie didn't seem like Korg wrote it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Like it'd be like I don't think it would be that bad if the whole movie, if the movies themselves took themselves a little more seriously, and Korg was kind of like the comic relief. I'm about to say the side piece.
Thor's side piece. That's your complaint about this. That's a takeaway from this review.
Yeah, I think Korg should have been Thor's side piece.
That's what's been wrong about Ragnarok.
I was trying to figure out what is it. There it is. But no. I think if the movies took themselves a little more seriously, and I'm not saying fully seriously, okay, I'm not saying gritty, I'm just saying a little more seriously,
right? And
Korg was the comic relief, I think he would work a lot better.
Yeah,
but considering everything around him is him, then he just exemplified. It's like for instance, like whenever we don't like some other comedy in Marvel movies. And why we kind of get worried about especially whenever Spider-Man was brought into the universe. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, they did it correctly. But I was afraid that everybody was going to be the comedic relief.
Right.
And they're going to bring in Spider-Man. And then it was just going to be annoying because everybody's that.
Right. Yeah. It takes away from the special aspects of Spider-Man making jokes.
Exactly. And thankfully, they did it correctly. But they just didn't do that with Thor. And I feel like Korg could have been the comedic relief of the movies. It's just that everybody was Korg. So it just becomes annoying. We are going to say that Korg...
I'm starting to think you want Korg as your side piece. You got Korg on your mind. Well, was it Rule 34? It's got to be out there somewhere.
It's got to be out there. It's got to be out there somewhere. Put link in the comments if you find them. No.
Please don't.
We are going to say that Thor Love and Thunder is 45% awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching
Whoa, where are you starting with the?
I don't know. The Us. Thank you so much for watching The Us.
Or thank you so much for watching the Awesome Padron review over Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
So professional.
I was saying thank you so much for watching.
You just gotta stop.
Thank you so much for watching. Done.
Yeah, just stare blankly at the camera.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know what you thought about Thor Love and Thunder. How would you rank all the Thor movies?
Because this is the only MCU character that's gotten 4.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty exciting.
At least so far.
It's pretty exciting and also very unexciting.
Yeah. So. If only they've been better.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget to follow us on social media with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, all at The Awesome Padron Show.
Yeah. Bro. I was like, what are you talking? What's that channel name? I'm like, oh, yeah. That's right.
You forgot we changed the name?
I don't keep up to date
With
on
our
pop
channel.
culture.
Yeah. I guess technically we're we're like a little small
little
portion
small
of pop
piece. I don't
culture.
pay attention to the media. Yeah, but anyways, guys, thank you so much, and you will see us later.